Good evening, parents, other friends and family members who are here and our students. Welcome to our Year 10 to 11 transition evening. My name is Dean Russell, I'm Principal here at Dalby State High School, and I'll do a few quick introductions. The gentleman to my left is Jason Marini. He is the Deputy Principal next year for our Year 11s. David Schreiber will stand up and say hello. David is our Head of Department for Senior Secondary, and also Kylie Higgins, who will also kindly stand up and wave. Kylie is our one of our two guidance officers going forward with our Year 10s to 11s next year. We also have in the room, and I won't introduce everybody one by one, but we have a large contingent of our heads of department here, some subject area coordinators, some extra deputy principals, so there's a whole series of people here tonight who can help you get all the information that you need about this very important transition. It's great to see so many of you here. This particular transition from grade 10 to 11, I'm of the view that this is the most significant one that students go through along their journey from prep to the end of year 12. It's a very important 2 years, and this entire piece of work we're doing at the moment is about trying to make sure that our year 10s pick the best possible program they can next year around subjects to get them to where they want to be when they finish school. And one thing I can tell you for sure is your chances of being successful in grade 11 and 12 are higher if you start off on the right track. As in, you pick the program at the start of grade 11 and you stay there right till the end of grade 12. Now, it's not the end of the world if there are subject changes. It's not the end of the world if things do get switched around once you start. But if you can get on the right plan from the start, it will definitely help you get where you need to be when you finish grade 12. So up until now, our Year 10 students have been having information talks with our heads of department about the relevant subjects. And right now, all of our Year 10s are this week and next week, going through a process called a SET plan, which stands for Senior Education and Training Plan. And that is the meeting where we're sitting down with kids and parents who we have invited to either join us in person or by phone. And we are looking at those subject choices for the program next year. Now, we do apologise that we weren't able to offer flexibility around those set plan spots. The main reason being we have well over 210 grade 10s. They're one of our biggest cohorts in the school. And we simply need to be able to work through an interview with every single one of those students. So it is quite a mammoth task. So I'll hand over to Mr. Marini. I suppose one last thing I wanted to say is please don't go home tonight with any unanswered questions. If you've got anything you need to know, any concerns, any information that you're seeking, tonight is definitely the night. There will be somebody in the room who can help you out. So please make sure you do that. Mr. Marini.
Good evening, everyone. As you heard, my name is Jason Marini. I'm currently the grade 10 deputy, and obviously traditionally we follow the students through their senior schooling phase. Just so we know where we're at thus far, I know we've got probably 3 groups of people in the room. One group will be students and caregivers who are current students, in other words, current grade 10 students. There'll be a group of parents or caregivers and students who come from feeder schools or further abroad. And then there'll also be a few of you that have students here currently that are in line for a signature program that may be in that transition phase as well. So I recognise all that, so I'll try and touch bases for those 3 groups that we're working with tonight. Thus far, where we're at as far as the process is concerned for the current group of students and caregivers who are Dalby State High School students, I have sent you a set plan invite via email. I've sent the students that email. I've also sent you a line structure system and a handbook. And the handbook basically lists a whole heap of text about each of our subjects on offering, both applied and general. And our students, our current students, have also had our heads of department talk about those face to face. Okay? If you are a parent caregiver of a student who is from a catchment that obviously haven't accessed these, don't fret. I have a couple of hard copies here for you of the line structure and your handbook. And if you see me before you go home tonight, I'll talk you through those intricacies, and you can give those straight back to me tonight or drop them in whatever may work for you. Okay, so I'll talk to you separately. All right. For those caregivers and students who are in that transition area of signature programs, toward the end of the week, I'll be sending out another wave of set plan interviews. Okay? And as I said, for the parents that are current and caregivers that are current, you already have that or should already have that. If you don't, check with your student, they certainly do. Or touch base with me, and we probably need to update your One School profile so that your email accounts actually do align with the mail merge that I sent out. In the handbooks, and again, if you are in an area where connectivity is an issue, because obviously our regionality is sometimes a challenge around those things, and you weren't able to pick that up electronically, I do have some hard copies here that you can take home with you tonight. If you can engage with that electronically, I'm a bit of a tree hugger. It's a 100-page document. We use it for a couple of days, so I'd hate to see all those pages go in the bin after a couple of days. So where you can, please engage with that electronically. Again, your students have them in their email accounts, as should you. Pretty self-explanatory. It's got all the information there, as I said, about all the subjects that we've got to offer. I would take this time to point out just one thing that's a little bit different from most years. In the table of contents, the first page in, a couple of subjects are listed in red. I listed them in red because of two reasons. One, they're either brand new to the school, and an example of that is psychology. Okay, so students probably need to read a little bit more about that because it is brand new. They've had no experience thus far with that. Okay. The second group that are in red are subjects that we have offered in the past that didn't run in 2023. So we're looking for interest groups for 2024. So they're not new subjects to the school, but they are new if we get the numbers for next year. So again, students may not have experienced those leading subjects. Okay? So that's why they're in red, and there's a little indicator there that can help you along with those. Okay, so just pay particular attention to those, I suppose, because again, your experience base for the students that are current may be not as broad as subjects that are currently offered, particularly in grade 10. Okay, so the set plan, Dean mentioned a moment ago, we have begun set plans this week. Set plan, as you may have read in the email, if you received the email, and catchment parents, caregivers, is just an opportunity where we sit down with your student and say, righto, what's year 13 got in store for your student? And that's a big question. What are they going to do post-school? There are three groups of students. I asked them to group themselves into three. One is an ATAR group of students, that is the students that know they're university and tertiary bound. The second group is a group of students who believe that they want to go straight into vocation. In other words, they want to work straight after school, whatever that may be. It doesn't matter what job, they know they want to go straight to the workforce. And the third group is undecided. So as you come into your set plans for the current students, that's going to be our basis, and we're going to work out from there. Okay? We try and get your subjects as closely aligned to your year 13 as we possibly can, because as Dean alluded to, experience tells us the closer we can get that to right now, the greater the experience the student has over the next 2 years, and certainly the greater success they have moving forward. Okay? Set plan takes about 15 minutes. It's not cast in stone, so at the end of the set plan, if you are there, you will walk away with a paper summary of it. Some of you may elect to dial in because work is difficult, getting away from work, and life is busy, we understand. By the same token, we understand that even dialing into those meetings may be a very big challenge for some of you because of work commitments, life commitments, and regionality. Okay? So the set plan will continue on regardless, but there is the paper summary that I have said that you can take home, sit around the kitchen table and say, okay, what are we going to do about this? Is it the right choices? If it's not, a simple can communicate back to us and we can adjust it accordingly. Okay? For those caregivers that are outside of catchment or are currently not with us as far as current grade 10s are concerned, again, touch base with this evening before you go home. I can give you basically the summary that you can fill out and drop it back in. Do it tonight if you've got the time, whatever the case may be, whatever works for you. Okay? We pop it back into our line structure system, our timetabling system, and we're all set to go, ready to next year, hopefully. Couple of things before I hand over to the next speaker. You'll hear a lot of slang in the next 10 minutes. And when I say slang, I'm talking education speak acronyms. Okay, there's two that I need you to focus on, just two. So if you walk out of here with two under your belt, you're doing pretty well. One's the QCAA. Okay, you'll hear the next speakers talk about this thing called QCAA. As far as QCAA is concerned, they're our curriculum bosses. So everything that we deliver to your students educationally, the way we assess your students, and the way we, I guess, mark and accredit your students, that's the QCAA's decision, okay? The second acronym that I need you to get your head around as the next couple of speakers are talking is the QCE, okay? For those with a little bit of age on them, I'll be in trouble for saying this, think senior certificate, okay? Once upon a time we used to call it a senior certificate, not allowed to call that anymore, we call it a QCE. The difference being is senior certificate, if you turned up to school and slept for 2 years, you get your senior certificate. Well done, you finished grade 12, here's your senior certificate on your way. This thing called a QCE, you've got to earn it these days. The next couple of speakers are going to talk to you about how you earn it, okay? The QCE is not one piece of paper, it's actually a group of papers. And again, that's not overly important at this stage. But just understand this term that you're going to hear about QCE is, think, senior certificate. But again, I'll get in trouble for saying that. You're not supposed to say that in this day and age, but it is what it is, okay? It's basically a certificate that you get, or sorry, you don't get, you earn over the next senior phase, 2 years, okay? Alrighty, I'm going to hand over to Mr. David Shriver. He's our head of department senior schooling, and he's going to talk to you about this thing called a QCE and more. Without further ado, Mr. Shriver.
Thank you. Alright, so I'm going to go into the nuts and bolts briefly of what you need to do to get your QCE. There's a few things that have changed. We have subject types general and applied. So they're the two QCAA subjects. And in year 11 and 12, students will study 5 subjects, a mixture of general and applied, or 6 subjects if they're doing specialist math. You'll also be introduced by Kylie to the Access Arrangements and Reasonable Adjustments, ARA. She'll talk more about that. ATAR is now in, the IEP system is gone, and we have external assessments for all general subjects at the end of year 12. Okay, so you get a statement of results. At the end of year 12, all students will get a statement of results, whether they've passed, failed, or in between. Okay? And then this is the goal that we're all aiming for at the minimum, is our Queensland Certificate of Education. It's internationally recognised. It's not awarded to everyone. Okay, like Mr. Marini said, you earn this, and if you don't meet the criteria of it, you don't get it. And there's a lot of intricate rules around earning it. So, to receive your QCE, you need to have a set amount of learning at a set standard in a set pattern while meeting literacy and numeracy requirements. The set amount of learning is 20 QCE credits. So every subject that students study, they get 1 credit per unit, except for 3 and 4, they get 2. So I do 5 subjects, I get 4 credits if I pass those 4 units within that subject. 5 times 4 is 20. I also need to get 12 completed core credits, and I need to get my literacy tick and my numeracy tick. So 12 completed core credits is I am in a subject from Unit 1 to Unit 4. I pass Unit 1, I pass Unit 2, and I pass Units 3 and 4 together, and I'll get 4 QCE credits. Those 4 credits will then count towards my completed core. If I'm in Unit 1 and I fail, I get an unsatisfactory, and then Unit 2, 3 and 4 I pass, I will get 3 QCE credits. That will count towards my 20 credits in total, and those 3 credits will also count towards my 12 completed core credits. If I pass Unit 1 and 2 and fail Units 3 and 4, I don't get my completed core. I get 2 credits that count towards my 20 credits, but I fail Units 3 and 4, so those 2 credits don't count towards my 20, and they don't count towards completed core. We also talk, terminology is we move away in Year 11 and 12 from semesters and terms. That's a time thing or a time constraint. We talk now in units. So Unit 1 and 2 is in Year 11, and Units 3 and 4 loosely in Year 12. General subjects generally do a 15-week Unit 1, a 15-week Unit 2, and then the rest of it is 3 and 4. Applied subjects, except for some of the essential math and essential English, they do 15 weeks of applied subjects do 20 weeks of Unit 1, 20 weeks of Unit 2, and then 3 and 4 is 40 weeks, or just shy of 40 weeks in Year 12. So your report cards will be still issued on a semester basis or on a term basis, but they will be reported in units. To get your literacy tick, you need to pass an English, Essential English or General English, Units 1 or 2, or 3 and 4 combined. And to get your numeracy tick also, you need to pass Unit 1 or 2 of any math, or 3 and 4 of any math. If any one of those elements are missing, your QCE won't be awarded. So I could do 5 subjects, and I could do a Cert 2 in tourism in Year 10, which a lot of students have done, and I could fail math all the way through. I could get 20 credits at the end. I could get my 12 completed core. I'll get my literacy tick because I passed English, and I failed math all the way through, so therefore I won't be awarded my QCE because I don't have my numeracy tick. Okay, so any one of these elements are missing, it's not awarded. I'll sort of speak about that. Right. We fail Unit 1 and 2, like I said, there's implications for completed core. So Unit 1 for QC double, so there's 2 reporting processes. One, your student will still get a report card at during terms and semesters. And that will have an A to E rating. So I do Essential Math Unit 1, and in Semester 1 I get a report card that says I got a B. Okay? In QCAA land, we report that as satisfactory. So for Unit 1 and 2, QCAA only care whether it's satisfactory or unsatisfactory, meaning you passed or you failed for Unit 1 and 2. Units 3 and 4, they care a little bit more because that goes towards your ATAR calculation. Okay, Unit 1 and 2, 3 and 4 QCE, but Units 3 and 4, if you're on an ATAR pathway, that's what counts towards your ATAR calculation. I did that as well. Alright, so the best case scenario, QCE tracking, and this is my life at Dalby State High School some days, is you choose the 5 right subjects, you pass all the way through, and you get your QCE. Happy days, you pass, go, and away you go. As you can see here, the S's for Unit 1 and 2 are S for satisfactory, and Units 3 and 4, whether they're an applied subject or a general subject, are an A to E rating, with C or higher being a pass. All those 20 credits there that they've been awarded will be going towards their QCE, but also go for their completed core. And they've got their literacy and numeracy tick because they've passed a unit, or they've passed all 4 units of the English and math. Again, if you're doing 5 general subjects, again, Unit 1 and 2 is satisfactory or unsatisfactory, and Units 3 and 4 is an A to E rating. For QCE implications, there's no difference between an applied subject and a general subject. It's just in the timing of it and in the assessment style of it. But for QCE credits, no difference at all. Okay, subject changes. If I change a subject, it has implications, 100%. If I change from English to Essential English, so this person here, Unit 1, they passed English, and then they said, English is not for me, I want to go into Essential English. They have a meeting with me, and then we do the relevant paperwork and contact is made at home. Because I've changed from General English to Essential English, there's the relaxation of core. Okay, so the 1 credit from English and the 3 credits from Essential English, they will all count towards completed core, which you need 12 of. Similarly with math methods, they've changed from methods into general. They passed methods and they went into general, they passed Unit 2 and then they exited Units 3 and 4 on a B. They'll get 4 credits that will count towards their 20, and those 4 credits will also count towards their core of 12. Because there's an automatic relaxation for any English or math change, subject change. Accounting, biology, legal, they all pass. So they're 20. They're going to get their ATAR, they're going to get their QCE, and they're moving on to the next stage. This person was in English Unit 1, they failed, unsatisfactory, they moved into Essential English, they passed, and then they passed Units 3 and 4. The 3 credits from English will count for completed core, not the 4 though, because they failed Unit 1. Okay? The math methods, 4 credits will count towards the 20 and the completed core. This person, unfortunately, is not QCE compliant because they've failed the Unit 1. Okay? So they need some intervention, which is fine. They will still get an ATAR. Okay, because it's only Units 3 and 4. So relaxation of core for English and math. That's what you take away from those slides. Any non-English and math subject change has completed core issues. We do English, math, no worries. This person here did biology, they don't like biology. They went into hospitality. Or they could go into another general subject, but for this purpose I used hospitality. Those 3 credits from hospitality for Unit 2, 3 and 4, they won't count for completed core, okay, because they haven't been in the subject from Unit 1 through to Unit 4 and exited on a pass. So they will get 19 credits from all their satisfactories and passes for Unit 3 and 4, and they'll only get 16 towards their they'll get 19 in total, and then they'll get 16 for their completed core. They'll get their ATAR because they're doing 4 general and 1 applied, but they won't get their QCE without intervention. Okay. Similarly, this one here, what's the difference between this one and this one? It's sport and rec, yes. Okay. So this one here, they had 5 general subjects in Unit 1, and then they changed to an applied subject, so they've still got 4 general, 1 applied, ATAR eligible. This one here, they changed from biology into hospitality, but they were already on a 4 general subjects and 1 applied, and when they made their subject change from biology into hospitality, they went from a general to an applied, so now they've only got 3 general subjects and 2 applied, which means they won't get their ATAR. Okay? They'll still, with intervention, get their QCE, but subject changes do have implications for ATAR eligibility and completed core processes. So is the game over for these people that are only predicted to get 19 credits? Absolutely not. Okay, it's my, part of my role is to have QCE support and intervention. Typical ones that we do is we do the Cert 2 in Tourism in Year 10, which a lot of students took that opportunity, and also in Year 11/12 we do a Cert 2 in Health Support Services from College Australia in Brisbane. It means that students have to come in on their Wednesday because potentially they haven't been making effective use of that, perhaps. And we also do a Cert 3 at the moment. It's called a Cert 3 in Fitness, which is locally known as your first aid course. You do 4 competencies and you get 2 QCE credits. So for students who have failed a unit, those 2 credits from the first aid course or the Cert 3 in Fitness will plug that hole of missing that 1 credit for that unit that they failed. If they've got completed core issues, meaning they've failed, they've exited a subject on a fail, or we're predicting that they are, the Cert 2 will actually plug that hole as well, because the Cert 2 4 credits count for completed core. Similarly, a Cert 3 also counts for completed core, and a Cert 3 can get up to 8 credits. So a lot of school-based traineeships, you can get 8 credits for that on a Wednesday. Okay, so QCE, there's 189 pages of the QCE, QCIA handbook. I know them all very well, but I know the rules that matter. And basically, it's not your job to understand all the intricate rules. It's my job to make sure that your student is QCE compliant and have the opportunity all the way to get their QCE by the end of Year 12 at the minimum. Right? They can get their QCE, they can get their ATAR, they can get their school-based apprenticeship, they can get a myriad of certificates, but it's my job to make sure they're QCE compliant or QCE, they have the opportunity to earn that by the end of Year 12. On top of that, students with their selections, they can do an ATAR pathway, which is the most direct entry into university. It's not the only entry into university, but it's the most direct. And to be ATAR eligible, you need to have 5 general subjects, okay? And you need to, or you have 4 general and 1 applied, or you have 4 general subjects plus a Cert 3 or higher, right? But the little asterisk that QCAA say is you must pass an English subject, right? So I can do general English, general math, physics, chemistry and biology. There's my 5 general subjects. Okay, I can also do, believe it or not, essential English, which is an applied subject, general math, physics, chemistry, biology, and I can still get an ATAR. Alright? So you don't have to do general English to get an ATAR. However, the unfortunate side of that scenario is a lot of universities have general English as a prerequisite for direct entry into university. Right? And if you don't have the prerequisite to get direct entry into university, they don't look at you. Alright? So then you need to look at the other pathways to get there. And the other thing to do, to remind yourselves of with the subject selection is an applied subject. So we get the general question of, should I do 4 general and 1 applied to make my workload easier, or should I do 5 general subjects? A 5 general subject mix will historically have been a better ATAR calculation, right? Because if you do 4 general and 1 applied, the applied, if I get an A in the applied, its subject scale is basically a C in any general subject, right? So if I get an A plus in sport and rec, it's like getting a C in biology, all right, or another general subject. So it does work, but you just need to bear in mind if you're going for a higher ATAR calculation, 5 general subjects is the way to go. What is an ATAR? It's your tertiary admissions rank to get direct entry into uni. It's a 2,000 point scale. It's 99.95 is the highest, down to 0. It goes in increments of 0.05. And if your son or daughter gets, or your student gets an ATAR of less than 30, they just simply say less than 30. Okay. ATAR is only calculated on units 3 and 4. So I can fail unit 1 and 2 of a subject and pass units 3 and 4, and I will get an ATAR. Ironically also, I can fail every subject, pass English, and still get an ATAR. I won't get my QCE, won't get my Year 12 certificate, however, I will still get an ATAR. It'll be below 30, but it'll still be a number, okay? So yes, so that's QCE and that's ATAR in a nutshell. If there's a lot of staff at school that understand the QCE process. We live and dream it, and the ATAR, Kylie and James are the 2 people who are best suited for the ATAR conversations. However, like I said before, you don't need to know all the rules and regulations, but you need to have an appreciation that it is a complex system that we do our utmost to make sure that your student is compliant, because you don't want to be the 1 or 2 that don't get the Year 12 certificate or your QCE by the end of Year 12 because we didn't know about a rule, alright? And I suppose the last comment from me is for Year 10 students into Year 11 and 12, like other people have said here tonight, choose your right subjects, okay? If you think you're going to be a doctor or a surgeon and you're failing every subject, A, I don't want you operating on me, and B, you're potentially not going to get the ATAR you need to actually get into a Bachelor of Medicine or whatever field you need to get into, okay? So be realistic with your subject selections, okay? Reflect on the subject results that you've got now and actually be realistic and heed the advice of your set planner, okay? Because they're not there to be nasty and they're not there to be rude. They're there to give you the best chance to succeed in Year 11 and 12, all right? All right, now I'm going to hand over to Kylie to talk about ARAs, which are amazing.
Hey everyone, so I'm Kylie, the guidance officer. There's 2 of us at school. There's myself and James. So firstly, before I get into ARAs, which are very exciting, I just want to say the wheels do start to fall off in grade 11 and 12. You don't think you're going to get the ATAR that you need to get into university. There are other ways to get to university, and these include bridging courses, Head Start programs, scholarship programs, and even TAFE. So if you feel like the wheels are starting to fall off, come and see the guidance officer so you can discuss these options with us. Okay? And you don't need an ATAR to get into university. It is just the quickest and most direct way to get there. Alright, so now I'll start talking about ARA. So ARA stands for Access Arrangements and Reasonable Adjustments. And it's to minimise as much as possible barriers for students so that they can perform the best that they can in their assessments. So barriers can include disability, impairment, medical conditions, and there can be other circumstances as well. So ARAs, it's for when things go wrong for justified reasons. You just need to communicate with us guidance officers and let us know what's going on though. And the earlier you can do that, the better. So barriers fall into 3 categories: permanent, temporary, temporary, and intermittent. And there's 5 different categories for ARA eligibility. The first one is cognitive. So for example, if a student has a speech language impairment, they might need assistive technology or a scribe. The second category is physical. Example, a student might break their arm before an exam. They might need extra rest breaks, extra time, or they might need a computer to actually type their exam instead of write it with their head. The third category is sensory. For example, a student might have hearing or vision impairment, and they might need alternative formatting, magnification, or amplification systems. The fourth category is social emotional. This could include anxiety. A student might need alternate venue or varied seating, and some students do complete their exams in the geo space because they do suffer from social anxiety. So that's one adjustment that we do make quite often. The last category though is probably what 90% of our ARAs are, and it's for illness or misadventure. And this includes like illness, so it could be including COVID or the flu, and misadventure is any personal circumstance, extenuating personal circumstance, which is discussed with the guidance officers. It's discussed with us and we can put it through. So for all of these categories, you do need medical documentation, except in some instances the misadventure. So don't just assume that, students don't just assume that if you're getting like a laptop to help you with assessment at the moment, don't just assume that that's going to continue to happen in grade 11 or 12 without an ARA. So if you need that adjustment, whatever it is, come and see the guidance officer so we can put the paperwork through to QCAA and then it can be approved. And then we won't have to do subsequent ARAs for all your other assessment in grade 11 and 12. Alright, so ARA does not include English language difficulties, teacher absence or other teacher-related difficulties, matters that the student could have avoided, example, misreading an examination timetable, misreading instructions and examinations, matters of the student's or parents' carer's own choosing, so try not to book a fishing holiday during exam week if you can, or representative sport. It also doesn't include matters that the school could not have avoided, example, incorrect enrolment in a subject. Okay, so just come and see us if you're having any problems in grade 11 and 12 as early as you can, and we'll make adjustments to try and accommodate for you.
Thank you. I just want to say one thing about ARAs and the QCE implication. If I had an exam and I was away because I was sick, legitimate, and I got a medical cert, and then I didn't go and see Kylie or a guidance officer and get an ARA, I can't sit that exam some other time. Okay? And if I don't do that exam, or if I don't do the assignment, then QCAA say you will not get your credit for that unit. Okay? Because to get your credit for your units, you need to make sure that all assessment is completed. And if it's not completed as expected, that an ARA is in place and it has been completed at the new time or the renegotiated circumstances. Okay, so gone are the days, year 10 students, of I just won't do it because I don't want to do it because you won't get your QCE. Okay, and then you'll be having some pretty stern conversations with either myself or the principal about how you're going to re-engage in your learning program. Okay, so every piece of assessment needs to be done to the best of your ability when it's expected to be done. But again, there's a lot of staff here to help to make sure that you're compliant with those expectations. Cool, thanks.
Just before I hand back to Mr. Morini to move to the final section of the evening, I just want to make sure everybody in the room is clear about our timetable structure works in grade 11 and 12. Now, many of you have current students or would be well aware of this, but I just want to quickly explain it so we're all on the same page. So for 3 years now, heading into our 4th year next year, our grade 11 and 12 timetable has operated differently to the timetable of the rest of the school. So what it effectively means is we have 50 students or so who do one of our vocational signature programs, either Trade Futures or Innovate Ag. Those students are here 5 days a week. Our students who studies specialist maths, about 15 of those, they're here 5 days a week. And then there's an extra probably 20-ish students who do either a school-based traineeship or a TAFE course or some other vocational training. They also work 5 days per week. If you do your rough maths in your head, and I didn't do mine very well, but that leaves about, in this cohort, 100 and something, about 120-ish kids who actually have a 4-day timetable. So that means they're not expected here on a Wednesday. Now they can come to school on a Wednesday, and many do. They can come work in the library, distance ed group, study, by negotiation, catch up with teachers if it's previously arranged. But for the remainder of the students, they are at home working on their program. For ATAR students especially, it's a really important opportunity to get right into that study. Now, we use that Wednesday. Mr. Schreiber just talked about students who might be at risk around their QCE. Those students are directed to come in on a Wednesday. We try to run exams on a Wednesday. We use those, for the first time this year, we trialled our sports carnivals on those Wednesdays, excursions. We also try to get on those days. So it's about minimising disruptions across the rest of the timetable by really using that Wednesday in a particularly different way. So it's something that if you've got friends, relatives in other parts of Queensland, it's a fairly common timetable model for grade 11 and 12s. And yeah, just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that's our process here. And as I said, we're heading into our 4th year of that model in 2024. Mr. Brady.
Okay, as I said, bombarded with information. It's a little bit like taxes. We know the basics, that's all you need to know, the basics. You obviously go to an expert to do your taxes, probably, so that they know the ins and outs. Rest assured, your students' success, we have a vested interest in because it's our success. We all became teachers to see students succeed, so therefore we will keep very much a track of your student. If your student is not tracking the way they should, we'll very much contact you. If you've got any concerns around the kitchen table, if your students are talking about whatever the case may be, please always touch base with us. Ring the office, talk to a guidance officer, year coordinator, HOI, whatever the case may be. Reach out, someone will get back to you, bring you in and make sure that your student is back on track as best we possibly can. Alrighty, so the last section of this evening is fairly informal. There's a bunch of posters around, spread around the room. Most of our heads of department are here. Momentarily, I'm going to ask them to go and stand by their posters. If you want to have a conversation with them about something specific, please find the time to do that. And as again, it's a little bit informal. Just a heads up, the posters aren't necessarily the language of the handbook that you may have seen, but there's probably enough information on those posters to work out each and every one of them. And again, it's just about the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs. Just a reminder, if you're a parent that doesn't have connectivity at home, because I have been communicating electronically with all of you current parents and caregivers, by all means come up and grab a hard copy of each of the documents I've sent in the last couple of days. If you're a parent or a caregiver from outside our community and you'd like to grab those and I can talk you through those, by all means do that at the same time. Okay? Thank you very much for your attendance tonight. Your success of your student is very much based around a team effort. We're part of the team, the student is obviously part of the team, as are the caregivers. Alrighty? And success is about that team. Alrighty? So lovely seeing all your faces. Heads of department and SACs, head on down to your posters, hang around. As I said, make your way up the front if you wish to talk to each and any of them. They're here for the next couple of minutes to have a yarn with you. I'll be up the front here if you want to talk to me as well. Thank you again. See you in your set plans.